So I have been doing gambling research, honestly, for over 20 years. Ever since then, I have been working combination of prevention, community prevention work, evaluation, with all sorts of addictions. And so what this leaves us with is 500,000 people that are having some level of problem with gambling. And the thing to think about here is that diagnosable means somebody will pay for their treatment. Not diagnosable does not with a gambling disorder does not mean that there are no problems and that the family isn't undergoing significant stress. So when I look at this, I don't think it's a good practice just to look at people that have a diagnosable problem. About 70% of Ohioans said, yeah, I got a family member with either current or a past gambling problem, and as we heard, a past gambling problem may remain in the past or may not. So this is like 1.5 million people as of 2012. What do you all know or suspect as effects on families? Gambling. What do you deal with if you're a family? Deceit. Mistrust. Physical abuse.
Debt collection, losing your credit.
Financial ruin. In all sorts of ways, yes. Child neglect.
Depression and anxiety.
Yes, and this is depression and anxiety and all sorts of mental health issues are a chicken and egg problem because you may have gambled in order to relieve the depression, but on the other hand, once your house is triple mortgaged and the debt collectors are calling every 10 minutes, you're depressed. So either way, it's at some point, it doesn't matter what caused what, you got both issues to deal with. The other problem is that although somebody won't come home from the casino if that's how they gamble, they're not going to come home trashed like they would after 15 drinks at a bar. Nonetheless, there's caregiving to be done. And that person will be a lot less functional. There'll be a whole lot of things. And while they're busy gambling, the household tasks will fall to anybody else in the family. Now, the other problem is that intimate partner violence or child neglect or violence, family violence, the risk goes way up if there's any kind of addiction in the family. And of course, you end up with relationship issues. So this can either be physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. But the other thing is coercive control. And people in the women's community or in the community that's been dealing with domestic violence for 40 or more years have always thought that this is all about power and control. But that's something that everybody else is just starting to slowly come onto. And so it's not just about getting hit. It's sometimes somebody who's violent will use hitting of somebody else just enough to keep the threat of it alive so that they can maintain control. If you look at studies and saying, hey, how many people experience domestic violence? It's all over the map. I mean, we're talking 10, like an extra zero difference here. But we also know the risk is elevated with gambling. If she said, yeah, my spouse and partner has a gambling problem, she was over 10 times as likely as those who said, no, my spouse doesn't have any addiction issues, to say, yes, there's violence. This can be a really severe and long-term issue.